Prime Minister Narendra Modi will be inaugurating the National War Memorial near India Gate today. The memorial will honour soldiers who have laid down their lives for the country since independence. The memorial will feature concentric circles and an oblique in the centre. The circles have walls with each granite brick having name of soldiers with their ID, rank and regiment. Defence Minister, Chiefs of the Army, Navy and Air Force will be among the dignitaries present on the occasion. The government in 2015 had approved the project for building a National War Memorial near India Gate. The Indian Navy has detected a skeleton, possibly of another missing miner in Meghalaya's Jaintia Hills. Efforts are on to retrieve it. The skeletal remains were detected over 150 feet away from the bottom of the 370 feet deep vertical mine shaft. At least 15 miners were trapped after water from the nearby river gushed into the illegal rat hole mine on December 13th last year. 2 decomposed bodies were spotted earlier, and out of them, only 1 body could be recovered. On Sunday, the rescue operations, the longest in the country, continued for the 74th day. Bangladeshi commandos shot a passenger who had tried to enter the cockpit of a Biman Bangladesh Airlines flight. The passenger waved a gun and threatened to blow up the plane. He held 1 person hostage. The plane was on its way to Dubai from Dhaka via Chittagong. The purported hijacker said he had personal issues with his wife. He told the pilot he wanted to speak to Bangladesh's Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina. The pilots made an emergency landing, after which the commandos stormed the plane. All 142 passengers and most of the crew had been let off the aircraft unharmed. The hijacker died from his injuries. Venezuelan opposition leader Juan Guaido arrived in the Colombian capital of Bogota. He is visiting the capital for a meeting with U.S. Vice President Mike Pence. The 2 men will be attending an emergency summit of the so-called Lima group of countries. They will be discussing Venezuelan crisis. Guaido slammed a fire attack on an aid truck at the border as unprecedented. Venezuela President Nicolas Maduro has vowed to block any aid shipments, claiming that there is no shortage. His troops clashed with civilians at the Colombian border, injuring hundreds. Venezuelans attempted running across the border into Brazil. They were trying to escape near a gas coming from the National Guard. They had stepped up their protest for aid to cross into the country. Now, yesterday, troops loyal to Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro used tear gas and rubber bullets and killed 3 protesters at the border with Brazil. Colombian President Iván Duque visited the scene at the border city of Bogota. This after he ordered the crossing between the Colombia and Venezuela be closed for 48 hours. A burnt-out aid truck and debris remain across part of this border. Duque has called for diplomacy against Maduro to be stepped up. Duque also met with a group of Venezuelan soldiers who have defected to the opposition. British Prime Minister Theresa May sought more time to negotiate changes in the Brexit deal. She promised to offer lawmakers a vote on their deal by March 12th. She was speaking ahead of the 2-day summit between European leaders and the Arab state leaders in Egypt. The first of its kind summit being hosted by Egypt. May met European Council President Donald Tusk to discuss the Brexit deal on the sidelines of the summit. European and Arab League leaders posed for a photo during their first European Union Arab League summit, which is being held in Egypt. More than 20 European heads of state or governments are attending the summit. This includes German Chancellor Angela Merkel and British Prime Minister Theresa May, Sudanese President Omar al-Bashir and Saudi Arabian Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman won't be attending the summit. Pope Francis has called for an all-out battle against sexual abuse. The Pope said that such crimes should be erased from the face of the earth. However, victims and their advocates expressed deep disappointment. They said that Pope merely repeated old promises. He didn't give any concrete proposal. The Pope also said that national guidelines on preventing and punishing abuse would be strengthened. The Church's definition of minors would be raised from the current age of 14. With this, Pope ended his conference on the sexual abuse of children by clergy on Sunday. Hundreds of Algerians living in Paris protested against President Abdelaziz Bouteflika's plan to seek a fifth term. Protesters were not only demonstrating against Bouteflika, but they were also protesting against the entire current political system, which they deem unfit to govern. They wanted to be replaced with a new one. Several political parties, trade unions and business organizations have already said that they would back him. Meanwhile, Algerians in Algeria protested for a third consecutive day. Around 10,600 Russians gathered in central Moscow for an annual march. The march was held in memory of Russian opposition leader Boris Nemtsov. Nemtsov had been shot and killed near the Kremlin in 2015. He had been working on a report examining Russia's role in the conflict in Ukraine. Protesters carried portraits of the slain politician. They marched behind a banner reading, "We have given Russia away to the crooks. It's time to take it back." Moldovans voted in an election that is likely to produce a hung parliament. Opinion polls suggest that opposition Socialist Party, which favors closer ties to Moscow, will win most seats but fall short of a majority. Moldovan President and former Socialist Party leader Igor Dodon told his supporters to be ready for mass protest if the Democratic Party tried to cling on to power. The current government wants closer integration with the European Union. It is warned of catastrophe if the country falls back into Russia's sphere of influence. A cold wave has swept through Greece. The Met Service named it Oceanus. Local authorities said that it had disrupted travel. Temperatures dropped by 10 degrees Celsius overnight. Cold front brought snowfall to many parts of northern and central Greece. The other regions were battered by heavy rainfall. According to Greek meteorologists, the cold wave will ease today. Violent gale-force winds brought severe disruption to parts of Malta. The winds whipped strong waves. This led to live fish being washed onto the roads and pavements. Roads were flooded. Trees were uprooted alongside seaside towns popular with tourists. Restaurants and other buildings on the island were damaged. Hundreds of people took to the streets of Barcelona. They were protesting against a visit by Spain's king to the Catalonian region. Catalan separatists burned photographs of the king. They blocked the roads in downtown Barcelona. They threw eggs and paint at the regional police where the dinner was held. The visit comes at a time when 12 Catalan separatist leaders are being tried in Madrid over the independence drive of 2017. Britain's Prince Harry and his pregnant wife Meghan Markle showed their support for rural girls' education during their visit to Morocco. The royal couple met girls at a boarding house run by Education for All, a non-government organization. The NGO builds dormitories near schools to reduce school dropout rates. Girls from the boarding house waved flags of Morocco and Britain to welcome the couple. Meghan took part in ceremony in which henna is applied to the body for luck, joy and beauty. Duchess of Sussex Meghan Markle and her husband Prince Harry attended a British embassy reception in Morocco. Reception was at the residence of the British ambassador Thomas Riley. Markle wore a cream Dior dress for the event. They were welcomed with a bouquet of flowers by the ambassador's daughters, Orla and Elsa. A float of a gigantic dying whale was featured in an annual carnival parade in Italy. The float was a part of a Greenpeace campaign to raise awareness of sea plastic pollution. Artist Roberto Manucci created the float and dubbed it the Alta Maria or High Tide. Executive Director of Greenpeace said plastic can kill whales because they confuse it with jellyfish. The Greenpeace's campaign is called Our Sea is Not Disposable. The organization wants multinational corporations to make packaging less environment damaging. Two angels flew across St. Mark's Square in a carnival in Venice. The show was called the Flight of the Angels, which marked the opening of the carnival. This was the first time that there were two angels. Two girls wore colorful costumes and floated down from the top of the famed bell tower, one after the other. They waved it to the festival goers below, blowing kisses and throwing confetti. Thousands of people took photographs and watched in awe. Dogs dressed in costumes joined a carnival at Rio de Janeiro's Copacabana beach. Some were dressed as fictional characters such as Superman and Batman. Others were dressed as a ballet dancer or a pirate. They were attending the 20th annual Carnival Pet Parade. Some pet owners matched their own costumes with their pets.